What's up, YouTube? Today's story begins with the sudden publicity of the phrase street stall economy in China. Post-pandemic, just like anywhere else in the world, China struggles with a recession of high unemployment rate and low consumer activity. To combat this, the authority found street vendors, whom they tried to eradicate for a long time, provides livelihood for the unemployed while also jumpstart the consumer activities. These vendors, a part of the informal economy, defined by their lack of professional licenses or taxes, adds vibrancy to the urban life and the diversity of cultures. While the name reminding people of the stereotype of a criminal life, the majority of the worker in the informal economy simply pursue the high-intensity job to support their family through friendly trades. Often on the lower end of the tax bracket, these people are diligent and hardworking and are most susceptible to economic downturns and health and safety hazards. Street vendoring is not a small business. According to ecobusiness.com, globally, informal employment represents just over 60% of total employment and nearly 44% of urban employment. In some cities in the global south, the informal economy employs 80% of the working population. This large population amplified the job created by the vendors. For instance, the security guards, they hired the storage providers as well as the jobs within formal economy because of the linkage with the source of goods. Yet despite all this benefit, Beijing decided to turn down the idea of street stall economy because of the authorities' determination to create a clean and presentable metropolis. Admittedly, some aspects of street vendors are not so amiable. Not all vendors have the will to keep the street clean, and not all of them operate in good faith with each other. But most importantly, they can jam up already crowded streets, making the flow of cars and people almost impossible to pass. Therefore, Beijing officials have long blamed these vendors for the urban disease of air pollution and traffic jams. In fact, this is not the first time the city had done it. Back in 2017, following a fire in Daxing district where there were large concentration of informal workers and migrant population, the government decided what they call a fast and effective crackdown on all hazardous factories and houses in the district, leaving many migrant workers and homeless and without a job. This wave of clearing what they call the low-end population had a negative impact on the city's normal functions. Deliveries were halted, restaurants closed due to lack of employees, and especially the vendors were driven out, along with many unique breakfast, dinner, and lunch, many of them already a synonym with Beijing and northern culture, fried pancakes, roasted cold noodles, etc. What are left are a blend of boring and expensive 7-Eleven and Walmarts. Personally, I have witnessed this atrocity of losing a part of Beijing, and I often wonder what other countries do to preserve this diversity of street vendors while also confining them with public safety measures. In fact, India, a very street vendor-rich country, is the first to create progressive centralized legislation relating to street vending in reaction to decade-long campaign by Street Vendors Association. The bill has several provisions to protect livelihood, social security, and human rights. As a result, we still see many vibrant vendor cultures in India, and the vendors are recognized by the officials. Of course, the condition of street vendors in India could still improve by a far margin, but it is already better than the few existing and police-plagued street vendor stalls in Beijing. However, I would warn against people of Beijing to copy the exact same method, because obviously the two countries operate on quite different terms. One crucial difference is that China operates heavily on a top-down policy structure, so a parade or protest probably would not be the way to go. Instead, I would urge you to discuss the matter with your local representative by letter, and then they would propose it in an annual national conference attended by the top officials. A possible solution to propose is that we ask the government to create more long-term organized spaces for the vendors who will operate safely because they are in a pedestrian-only area. And the supermarkets nearby should provide space for vendors as well, paid by the government, given special medals, especially to accept the vendors who provide cultural experience such as martial arts or music, because they would attract more consumers in the supermarket, creating a win-win situation for the supermarket and the street vendors themselves. In the end, the most valuable takeaway is that the street vendors not only create economical benefits for the less privileged, as they provide a means of livelihood, but it also generates a vibrant culture around the city. Therefore, we should work our best to preserve it.